Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be having a look at text in After Effects, and I've done quite a complex tutorial on this in my montage series, so I'm going to be covering a lot of the same stuff that I already have. I'm going to try and put a link in the corner to that tutorial because it's probably going to be way more in depth. But for those of you who are just like doing the series as part of like one a day and all that kind of stuff, it kind of helps that if I can break this down in like 10-minute chunks as we have been doing. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Text is quite varied and quite a complex subject in itself. The good place to start is knowing that there's literally like a preset for pretty much any effect you're going to want to do. If you come over to your effects and presets window, which is in window effects and presets, I believe it's there it is. Okay, Control 5. Make sure you got this open, and if you twirl down animation presets, you're going to see one called text, right? And in here you're going to have pretty much everything you would want to do with text. I mean, like most of the time when I'm looking for an animation, I know it's in here somewhere. Now the way you can preview these is if you go here and then browse presets. Now for some reason, and if anyone can help me with this because it's literally driving me mad, Adobe Bridge crashes as soon as I open it on my PC every single time. I don't know what it is. I'll select a folder and then it will just freeze and then I won't be able to change anything. So if anyone has any ideas on how to fix that, much appreciated. I am on PC, so if you're on Mac it might be different. So I'm not going to go to browse presets because you'll just see Bridge crash. However, I do know, because I've been using After Effects for so damn long, I already know the name of the preset that I want to do stuff. So if I come to the animate in, these are all the animations that I'm going to animate your text in. So if I put my cursor here to the start of my timeline, which is very important because when you drag the preset in, it's going to apply it from the point where your timeline thing is. So if I do, let's do a decoder fade in, which is quite cool. And then if I hit U, you'll see it's automatically applied this transition at just under 4 seconds, which is quite long. So usually I would bring this down to like maybe a second or so. Let's just preview this, have a look. So there you go, it's done little so it's doing this cool kind of like shuffling animation, and yeah, pretty cool. If I delete the if I come down here, you'll see it's added a text parameter and we have animator. All text layers have this text parameter, and in here you have the actual options. So if I select fade up lines and words, isn't going to work. Fade up characters does exactly what you would expect it to. So if I go fade up characters, we're going to have one of these, which is kind of better than just fading up the opacity of your word, right? You can have pop word buzz. So in this way, basically your text changes every 15 frames. Random fade up. You get where this is going. Basically, it's a case of just like literally try different ones until you find the one you want. And there's, you know, I've just been in the animate in there. There's 3D ones, which are kind of cool. Flip in, rotate X is pretty neat. So I've got my ray trace 3D on here, which is going to cause me some problems. I'm going to go back to classic. Oh, we've had a little freeze. It's thinking about it. There we go, classic 3D. So now we've got a nice little flip. So you can see all these are kind of like somewhat using 3D options. So it's good to know that all these are here, and I suggest you play with those. And like I said, if you can use Bridge, then there's like really cool little previews, so you can kind of watch the animation before you drop it on, which is kind of neat. But if I'm going to explain to you how this works, we might have to do it in 2 lessons. Let's start now and we'll see how we go. So you've got to think of this as, first of all, you have your path options. And what this means is that we know that if we have a layer selector, then we draw something on, we're usually going to create a mask. However, with text layer, it's slightly different. If I create this kind of curvy line, and press V to switch to my select tool, so I'm not actually closing the path, I haven't gone back here, and hit OK. Now if I go to path options and select mask 1, we can see that our text has kind of like made its way onto this path, and it's dynamic because if I move the path you can see the letters are trying to keep up. Now I think our letters are a bit too big for what's going on here, however if we scale them down and you can space them out. This panel, by the way, is much the same as the After Effects one. We have the character and the paragraph panel. So paragraph is pretty self-explanatory. This is aligned left text. I'm going to take this off the path real quick. So this would align your text to left, this to the middle, this to the right. And then in here you have all your fonts. So as long as I have my text selected, I can go through my fonts. This here is the, okay, so this isn't really going to do anything unless we have two lines. So hello line, how are you? And I'm going to move this up. Okay, now if we do this, we'll see auto by is usually alright, but if you move this up or down, you can basically select the space in between your layers. Now another kind of clever little trick which you might not know is if you select a line and hit Alt and down, you can just alter the spacing in between those lines. So I might want a little bit of space between these two, but a massive gap between these two, and it's a kind of a pain in the neck if you have to go and make 3 separate layers. So it's kind of just hold Alt and up or down, and left or right, Alt and Alt, sorry, will bring the spacing in between your letters in and out, which is kind of useful. You can also do that here. So if I deselect everything and select here, we're uniformly moving like the spacing for all of them, and if we do this here, we're uniformly moving the spacing for the line spacing. But it's good to know that if you want to kind of customize the you know, with one line for it to be more spaced or different, or you can even change the font on one line just by selecting it and selecting another one. Kind of useful to know. So like this one, now that this text is slightly bigger, I might want to move it down, so just Alt a few times down, and there we go. So we got different text and different spacing. Last but not least, we've got these little options down here. Now these are pretty self-explanatory, but this is the width of your text. So if you want to really stretch out one line, you can do that. This, believe it or not, is the height of your text. Who would have thought? This is kind of when you're doing, like say we're doing T, and I'm going to change this back to 100 so it's not skewed. And let's say we want to do T2 as in T squared, right? Old school. So I can select this 2, make it smaller, and then this allows you to kind of shove your 2 up. So it's kind of like a really useful little icon there. It's kind of like a little line pointing up. And then, yeah, this is kind of, you know, useless. I don't really use it. It's just basically the spacing in between these little ones. If you've got like complex characters, it can kind of come in useful. This right here is your bold. So if you want to make your text bold, you can. Italic. And this is probably the most useful one of all because it allows you to change all your text to uppercase and lowercase just on the click of a button. At the moment, these fonts only have uppercase letters, so that's why this is not really changing anything. Then you've got small caps and you know, the little subscript, which is like the little 1s and 2s. So kind of cool, and hopefully that explains how all those little features work. And like I said, if we get rid of all that and come back up, and we change this to the path to mask, we can actually animate our text along a path, a bit like a roller coaster, but you know, you're probably going to want to do something less cheesy, I guess. But who knows, maybe you're doing a project on roller coasters and it might come in useful. But I would kind of do this with a circle usually. So if you come to, let me delete my mask, and then I just draw a circle, hit Alt and Control to make it kind of happen from the middle. Obviously at the moment it's being used as a mask, so we'll change that to none. And then go to path and select mask, and now we've got our our little text on the path, which is kind of cool. And you can make it also like this, so that the letters, even though they're on the path, they're kind of always facing up. So that's an option you have. This flips it on the other side of the path. This is the alignment to the path, and you can force the alignment if you want to keep them all like that. And then your last margin is not really that important, because you can just keyframe this first one and move your text around the path. That's kind of cool. Scale this down, space it out a bit. And this reminds me of the old Forza Wilza intro. He did this with his little Forza Wilza studios back in the Halo 2 montage days, if anyone remembers that video. I think it was for the Walker trailer, for Walker's first montage, or second montage I think it was. Anyway, ignoring that trip down memory lane, I hope you've learnt something new about text today, and tomorrow I'm going to be going in and explaining how we can animate all these properties and create some custom text effects, so hopefully you'll join me for that. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson.